Hello everybody, welcome to Indiana Story. I'm Craig Hall, and today we find ourselves in Jeffersonville, Indiana. And let me tell you, there's a lot more in Jeffersonville than just the Ohio River and these beautiful bridges. Let's go take a look. Well, we found ourselves here in Old Town Jeffersonville right now. A little bit of rain, but it's not going to stop us from having a good time. We have stumbled upon a jewel here in Jeffersonville, Schimpf's Candy. And joining me right now, I have the fourth generation. This is Warren and Jill Schimpf. Hello, guys.
Hi there. How you doing?
Great, great, great. Thanks for having us over. You've been here since when?
1891, April 11th, 1891.
You don't look that old.
I don't look that old. Preserved well.
So this candy shop has been in this location since 1891.
Right here in this location.
Same place, same family. We all have lived upstairs. The Schimpfs have lived upstairs from day one. So we have a quick banister ride to work and enjoy living in the downtown area.
So a little bit about this downtown area. We're only a couple of blocks from the Ohio River, right? Two blocks approximately. And in that time, it's got to have wreaked a little bit of havoc on you in this shop.
Well, rivers do flood, don't they? The Ohio River especially. And the buildings along here have seen water 3 times. So 1883 was about here, 1884 about here. And for 1937, you have to look halfway through the second story. They say grandmother came out of the second story in a rowboat. If it happened again, probably the family wouldn't have kept the business.
Wow, yes, the flood of 37. We've seen high water marks all along the area here commemorating the tragedy of that flood. But we're not here to talk about floods. We're here to talk about candy. So,
Come on in.
yes, let's take a look. Tell me about this room. This is
the historic interior of this candy shop. So the back bar with the mirror here dates from the 20s. The soda fountain here dates from the 40s. We had a soda fountain in 1921. But they wanted to upgrade that in 1941 and when they installed the stainless steel one. The Coke machines here are original, authentic. The one here, this one here has been on this soda fountain since the 1960s. We had one like this prior to that. I remember that as a kid.
I love the soda fountain. How many soda fountains can you find in Jeffersonville?
This is it.
This is it.
This is it.
Consider, though, in the 50s, there were probably 3 or 4 on Spring Street alone. Each block had its soda fountain and had its regular followers. We're the only one that's persisted.
So the soda fountain came later. It was always candy. And then you added this.
They served ice cream as early as 1918. They had some way of serving soda water, and we are not sure what it was. But in 1921, we know they did purchase a actual soda fountain as we would know it today.
And we know that's true because we still have the telegram from the company that sold us the soda fountain, and it said shipping fountain today.
And you mentioned to me when we were talking earlier that you're one of the oldest servers of Coca-Cola.
We've been serving Coke as far as we know from the early 1920s. We're probably the oldest continuously server of Coca-Cola, purveyor of Coca-Cola.
In this area.
In this area anyway. So we've been serving sodas here and Coke products for a long time.
Well, let's take a look around. I know that you've got some amazing pieces throughout in here. I'm surrounded by candy history.
We have one historical point, and that is our jars on the shelf.
Behind the counter.
Yes, 1930s mayonnaise jars. And when we took over this business from Warren's aunt and cousin, people said, well, now you can get some fancy jars. And we said, no, people are used to the 1930s mayonnaise jars, and that's where they'll stay.
I look back at nostalgic pictures. I see the big jars just like that behind the counter.
It's harder to find those jars now. We have to really look.
It's harder to find a candy shop like this now.
That's true, too.
Schimpf's here in the 30s was the outlet for basketball history and basketball stores. When the team was away at some place away, we had the only pay phone or only phone in town. When somebody, if they were up in Seymour, would call Schimpf's, Schimpf's would go out and paint the score on the front of the building, and people would come by to see the score. So there's a lot of basketball history that passed through this in years past. It's not that way today, but things are different.
So you told me you had the only pay phone around.
Well, we had the only phone.
The only phone?
Well, it was the only
was
phone
available.
that was a central place for everybody. They knew that calls would come in with the scores, and so they would come here to get the scores.
So it was all about basketball.
All about basketball.
Only in Indiana, right?
That's right.
Okay, so we've moved into the brains of the operation, I guess you could say, right? This is the what?
Warm room.
The warm?
Yeah, and today we're making red hot, so it's doubly warm.
And the red hots, what's the process?
What's the process? Well, you can see them bubbling in the kettle. Sugar, corn syrup, water. We've added a little red coloring to it, and we don't add the cinnamon until after we pour it out on the bench, out on the table. Now you might wonder about that. It's cinnamon oil. It comes from a tree that's native to China. It comes a long, long way to be in our red hots.
Oh, wow.
And we add that afterwards because all good cooks know that if you add your flavoring when something is very hot or boiling, poof, off goes the flavoring.
What is the temperature of this?
320 is what we're looking for. And
It's over 300 right at the moment.
So it's at 300 degrees right now. That's the...
320.
And the ingredients are?
Cinnamon oil gets added after we pour it out. Right now it's water, sugar, corn syrup, coloring.
Water, sugar, corn syrup, coloring, and soon the cinnamon oil to make the Schimpf's world famous
Red Hots.
Red Hots. That's right.
Now the stove that we're using is over 85 years old. Vulcanhart's name is on the front. Vulcanhart is still making stoves in Louisville, another old company like Schimpf's.
I know the name Vulcan, definitely.
Okay. Cast iron, brick line, gas fired. The little rings on the top tell you it's a typical candy maker stove. We can add or subtract the rings to accommodate different sizes.
I see, yes, I see. So the bigger the kettle, you can easily accommodate it.
Through the hole, right.
This is just a demonstration scale batch today, 15 pounds. If we want to do a production batch, we use the large kettle down there, 50 pounder, and that's what our standard production batch.
Now the kettles are also turn of the century. Not the last turn, but the turn before that. And they are all made of copper. There's a reason for that. Cooks and candy makers just love copper. Spreads heat well, no hot spots, not as heavy as cast iron. You don't break your back quite so badly when you pour it out. But in general, there is only one reason for using copper. It's prettier.
It's prettier. So I've always So this technique, though, with the copper, is the heat.
Open fire cooking.
Okay, so the flame is right up to that that copper kettle.
Yes.
It's 320, so I'm gonna.
Okay, looks like we're ready to make the next move here with the red hots.
Now, great-grandfather did not have a thermometer. We'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute.
Oh, I see. That's what you're dipping in there, the thermometer right now, to check the temperature.
Just took it out. It read 320. Watch carefully. Here it goes. Be very, very glad your little fingers aren't under there. 320 degrees. And Warren and I are especially glad we remembered to put those little iron bars down around the edge of the table. If we forget to do that, we have to share the candy with the floor.
So the bars aren't always on there. They come and go.
That's right. More sophisticated tables have the bars on hinges, but ours was a plain old, and you have to put the bars there.
Now, is this the only kind of candy you make on this table?
Hard candy, but we can also do hard candies like peanut brittle. Peanut brittle, that kind of thing can also be made on this table.
It's piping hot.
Hard candy. It's water cooled. It's it's true antique because that's 128 years old, same as the store. And it's water cooled, so you can spray hot or cold water to the underside of the table to heat or cool the candy. That was high tech in 1891.
So there's water lines going into the table.
Right, exactly right.
That's amazing, to control the temperature.
You might think it's strange for a candy table to be made out of steel, but this was a step up from marble. Marble gets warm, gets hot from your first pouring, and then it keeps the heat. And you don't want that. You want to be able to cool the table so you can make your next batch. So
Now-
this was a step up.
Now, how long is it going to take this to cool?
Not very long. It's going to be a few minutes, and he's going to take one of those iron bars, remove it. The candy will stay right there. We say it's like an obedient dog. We say stay, and it does.
So is there cold water being dispersed on the table now?
You'll hear it if it's on. And he'll probably put it on in the process of cooling this down. Now you'll notice he has great big leather gloves. The candy's not as hot as it used to be, but it's still hot. There goes the bar, and it looks like we're lucky. The candy stays right where we put it.
Well, that is amazing. It's hard so fast. It's just a big sheet. It looks like red ice.
Like glass. And it's very similar to glass, really. Uh-oh, we're ready for the cinnamon oil. Nice little circle of cinnamon oil. If you're a country music fan, you know that Johnny Cash made Ring of Fire really popular. There's Schimpf's Ring of Fire, Cinnamon Fire. Now this is the pretty part. Over and over it goes. A little bit like the stained glass in a church window. And he'll be working with that to cool it. That'll take several minutes, about 5 minutes or so.
You can really smell that cinnamon now that he poured it out.
So, because we play a dirty, rotten, nasty trick on you, you see there are some pipes way up there. We blow just a little bit of the smell right out onto the street. Not much, about 15%, but it usually brings in a crowd.
Well, it's been successful.
Yes, we say that. In fact, a few customers are already joining us here because they smelled it, I guess.
Yeah, you can definitely smell the cinnamon now that he's poured the oil onto the candy. Is this, when it's at this stage, does it have a name or is it just candy?
It's just candy that hasn't set up yet.
So, not set up candy.
Looks a little bit like putty. The candy can't be too warm when we put it through the drop roll machine. Today we're going to make little squares out of this. If it's too warm, well, reverts to that blobbish stage. We don't like that. It has to be cool enough to take the shape of what we're pressing it into, and today that will be small squares.
Now you know it's ready by touch.
He knows it's ready by the consistency, how it folds over, how it feels on his glove. I told you about the antique stove and the kettles. The table is 128 years old, same as the store. But there's one more antique that we forgot, and that's over there. It's not you, Warren. It's the hook. And we'd like you to take a really good look at the hook, because that's for the kids who can't behave. He's looking a little frightened there, smiling. Warren, you wouldn't really put a kid on that hook now, would you? Yes, he would. They don't believe us, so we have to tell the truth, and that's for pulling so that it becomes, the consistency and color changes a little bit. We won't be pulling it today.
Sort of like pulling taffy.
Exactly.
Okay, looks like we moved to the next stage here. You've fired on the machine.
Step, exactly right. The machine is called a drop roll machine. It's called a drop roll machine because it makes hard candy drops, whether they're cinnamon drops, licorice drops, lemon drops, whatever. We have another fan blowing on the machine. Why? The rollers are made out of metal, they're brass, and as the warm candy goes through, those rollers pick up the heat. They get hotter and hotter. He cuts a little bit off with this scissors. We tell the kids if the hook didn't get you, the scissors might, so behave. Chop off a little piece, and everybody crosses their fingers and hope it comes through squares.
All right.
Fingers.
Moment of truth. What do we have?
Here we go. Squares. And everybody crossed their fingers correctly. There we go.
That is pretty amazing there.
Right out of my job, doesn't it? We could be pressing the hard candy into a wide variety of shapes. We could be doing little shells or rabbits or lemons or hearts or fruit slices or scissors or fish or
Fish. I see the fish.
just puppy dogs, we say.
Oh, puppy dogs.
Yes.
So there they are.
They are, but now of course you're wondering, aren't you, how we separate these red hots.
Exactly.
Warren's going to show you.
Let me move out of the way here. This is where the action begins, huh?
Now we'd love to have you think we spend our days and nights after midnight breaking these apart one by one. That can't be true.
Isn't that what the scissors are for?
Well, maybe we have a red hot scissors too. That can't be true either. Actually, it's taken us 128 years of research and development. So, oh! Well, for heaven's sakes. Well, Warren, do another one. This crowd is easily amused. This is why they're called cinnamon red hot drops. That's a bad joke, isn't it? He loves this part of the demonstration. He loves to drop the drops.
I love the smell of the drops.
Well, if it smells like pickles, we're out of luck.
Well, it doesn't smell like pickles.
And then what happens is we give out samples.
No. All right, let's give it a try here. Still a little warm?
We told you we wouldn't.
Fantastic.
We say our cinnamon red hots are not burn a hole in your tongue hot, they're just mildly spicy.
Now, that cinnamon is, I get why it's $50 a bottle.
Yes. It's our flavor, so to speak. We branded this. So it's not terribly hot, it's just hot enough to give you the good taste of cinnamon.
What's your name?
Tyler.
Tyler, have you been here before?
No.
What do you think of that?
It's pretty good.
You tasted one, huh? Mm-hmm. Pretty exciting. You ready to make some candy?
No.
This guy's with you?
Yeah, it's my grandson.
Grandson, Tyler. So you've been here before?
Several times. Yeah.
Several times. Are you from Jeffersonville?
No, I'm from Louisville.
See, they come from Kentucky for the candy. They cross the bridge. It's that great, huh?
That's right.
Okay, so you brought me out now to another hidden room.
Hidden room is, we have the demonstration area here where we make the candy, and then we have our museum back here. This is where the main part of we have antiques and museum all over the place. The place is a museum in itself, but this is a lot of
Let's go take a look.
interesting things that this is the
Wow. You walk in, you immediately know you are in a room of collectibles with the glass cases and the artifacts.
a lot of artifacts. This is all things we have collected. We've got about 4,000 to 5,000 pieces in the museum collection. Not all of it in here. Most of it, 90% is on display.
Now,
So-
I know that you two have been collecting this. It's a passion.
It's a passion. It's
Well,
an
what is your
addiction.
favorite piece in here?
One of my favorite pieces, well, really three of them, are these kids on a teeter-totter up here. Three different versions of kids on a teeter-totter.
And those are candy buckets?
Those are candy buckets. Using children in advertising, using the candy in the advertising itself. I mean, it's just not floral. And anyway, these are actual things. We have three different versions of the same concept. The bottom one from Schimpff Williams is two white children on a teeter-totter. The two buckets up there, there's a black and a white child on the top one, and the one underneath is four black children on a teeter-totter. The interesting thing about that artwork there is if you look down here, these are connections you get from collecting candy things. This little card here in the corner shows that same piece of artwork that's on the top bucket. The interesting thing about that is this was a trade card, a business card from Croft and Wilbur. They were a big candy company in Philadelphia. They split up in 1885 as a company into two different companies. So we know that artwork there predates 1885. Think about it, 20 years after the Civil War, they're using artwork that portrays black and white people together, children.
6 years before you opened.
Yeah, that's a few years before we opened. You know, it's just interesting putting things in context, finding out pieces of information from these. There's tremendous amount of history here that's relating to everything. It's just unbelievable.
It's an amazing place. Everywhere I look, I just it doesn't just take you back.
Everything in here has a story.
I'm sure.
You said you were asking about our favorite pieces in here.
Yeah.
So we're going to let you work the piece. You see, this is a 1928 vending machine, and we're going to give you a nickel. Now you have bullseye, Tootsie Roll, Fireball, peppermint, root beer, and a little peanut that looks like a peanut,
Sure.
but isn't. So name your poison, put your nickel in.
So a nickel. A nickel sounds like a lot of money back then.
And of course, you really didn't get penny candy. You got chocolate bars. You see the size of the glass, but we can't
Okay.
afford to give you a chocolate bar for a nickel. So we put penny candy in there so you can see how this old machine works.
Okay, I'm gonna go for a root beer. Is that what this is?
That's a root beer.
There we go. Nickel in.
Pull that silver knob.
And
There went your money. But wait,
where's my candy?
where's the candy?
What?
Oh,
Oh, the trap door opens. How about that? It doesn't fall.
well, it doesn't move at all. You see the candy's all hidden behind here, and the doors just plop down to expose the candy. No,
So this.
you can watch it.
Okay. Yeah, I missed the whole door dropping. All right.
Things happen. The nickel goes by that little window down there, and at about the same time, the door plops down to expose a treat. So, which one do you want now?
Okay, now we will go with, we've got to try the peanut.
All right.
So here we go. Nickel in. I'm looking to the top.
And there went the nickel past the glass, and here is your treat.
I love it.
Grown men on their knees banging on the machine saying, "Where's my candy?"
Yeah, I was about to do that. You saw me. I was looking.
I saved you from such embarrassment.
What an amazing machine. Buy your sweets here. Save time. Always fresh.
That's right. And right above it is a World War I advertising that says, "Don't use sugar. Sugar means ships." And they show the ships that are being used for sugar when they should be going to war spending. Lots of history here.
I would never associate sugar to building ships.
Well, rationing, of course, was big. And what happened here at Schimpf's is people would come in with their rationing cards, and Schimpf's, of course, didn't get enough to make as what they wanted to make, so they would trade. We'll make your candy, you give us your rationing cards, you'll get a deal on the
Little barter system.
barter system there. That's right,
Sure. Well, tough times. Got to do what you can, right, to make it happen.
to do.
Well, this is an amazing room right here, and what a great place to end our visit, actually. Come on over here, Warren. I want to thank Jill and Warren Schimpf. You are the fifth generation? Fourth generation. See, I'm making them older already. Fourth generation to run the Schimpf's Candy Store right here, Jeffersonville, Indiana. Opened in 1891. Oldest retailer in Indiana, I'm going to say. Definitely oldest candy shop. In fact, the oldest continuously owned family candy shop in America. Is that right?
At the same location. I think there are a few that are older, but we're continuously in the same location.
Nobody was as smart or as stupid as we were to stay open all these years, so.
Well, we're glad that you did. And it's an amazing place. And Schimpf's in Jeffersonville is truly, truly part of Indiana's story. Thanks for joining us. And next time you're in Jeffersonville, stop by and say hello. Get some candy. We'll see you next time on Indiana's Story.